Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online news video with me, Sherman. Today we're taking a look at the patch notes for 5.0.2 on the PTS. And guys, this is PTS patch notes, so just clarifying. But these are for the Elsweyr and Update 22 updates that will be coming out on May 20th for PC and on, I think it's June 4th for consoles. And of course PC again, because who knows? I don't know. But let's go over it. So, the Elder Scrolls Online version 5.0.2 is our third patch during the PTS cycle, and it has introduced Mid-Year Mayhem to test this week. You'll find a detailed explanation of the event, including some changes and improvements outlined below. We also have several adjustments to the Necromancer and the Sunspire trial in this patch, plus a number of tweaks and fixes for general combat and existing classes. Read to explore all the fixes and improvements in the latest patch, which is approximately 210 megabytes. Note that this patch comes, with a so we're switching over to EU now. Yeah! Now I get all my character slots. I don't have to fight with, like, the characters I have. Alright, Mid-Year Mayhem's chain stuff. So join the celebration of Cyrodiil, Battlegrounds, and Imperial City and Mid-Year Mayhem available to test during this week on the PTS. Similar to previous Mid-Year Mayhems, this event allows you to earn additional XP and AP for participating in various PvP game modes in Cyrodiil, Battlegrounds, and Imperial City, while the Pelinal's Ferocity buff is active. Okay, during the event you can earn the following bonuses by participating: double alliance points and bonus rewards by taking part in PvP game modes, double experience from PvP player kills. Yay! Kill people. just kidding. Okay, you can pick up the Scroll of Pelinal's Ferocity from the introductory quest, or if you've completed the quest before, you can buy another scroll from Mirara or the Battleground Supplies Merchant. For this year, there is also a new board at each BG camp that offers the introductory quest. Pelinal's Mid-Year boon boxes in the event specific rewards, which is available through a wide variety of PvP activities. You receive one just by completing the introductory quest. Pelinal's boxes are attached to all rewards of the worthy mails sent during Mid-Year Mayhem. Pelinal boxes are also attached to the quest rewards for daily quests in Cyrodiil, including all of the board missions, town dailies, and battleground daily quests. Pelinal's boxes have also been added to the Imperial City daily quests, which is awesome. Mid-Year boon boxes cannot be opened in battlegrounds to prevent alliance-specific rewards from being granted to the wrong alliance. Pelinal's Mid-Year boon boxes can contain 20 to 80 Telvar stones, a repair kit, or 3 filled soul gems, transmute geodes, and one of the following: a set of alchemy ingredients, cool, a style item for your alliance style, a raw style from item for Akavari, a Daedric siege weapon, a Mid-Year Mayhem book furnishing, a forward camp for your alliance, a chapter or rarely the full book for your alliance motive, a prismatic runestone, a chapter or rarely the full book for the Akavari motive. Alright, so some collectibles and titles. During the Mid-Year Mayhem, you'll be able to earn a range of collectibles, titles, and outfit styles during the event. These rewards can be earned from achievements, sweepers, and bosses, as well from the event merchant. These rewards include Mid-Year Laurel Wreath Adornment from completing the Star Made Knight meta achievement. Second Legion outfit styles can drop from sweepers and bosses in the Imperial City. Standard bearer emotes available from boon boxes and from this Mira chick for AP. During the Mid-Year Mayhem, you can earn a single standard bearer's emblem once per day per account for opening a Pelinal's Mid-Year boon box. These emblems can be sold to vendors for 1,000 gold each. It's quite a bit of gold. You can purchase an Alliance Standard Bearer's license from Mara for 50,000 Alliance points. Use the Alliance Standard Bearer's license to consume 10 Alliance Standard Bearer's emblems and create a rune box for a banner emote. The banner emote received is based on your alliance. For instance, an Ebonheart Pack character will create a Rune Box Ebonheart Pack banner emote. While the license is bind on pickup, the emblems and the Rune Box themselves are freely tradable. Note, we've added a precedent to predicant, whatever, and Pelennal Merchant to Battleground Camps as well. Awesome. Okay, event tickets and Inspirio and event tickets. So the outfit pages in bound form and emotes will also be available from the event merchant for 5 tickets apiece. You can buy the emotes regardless of your alliance. You can also earn 2 event tickets for completing any daily quest that focuses on Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds. This includes all board quests as well as town dailies. Cool. Template information. To reduce confusion, we've moved 6 item sets from Rewards of the Whirly bag and put them in the Cyrodiil bag. This way, all of your item sets associated with Cyrodiil are in the Cyrodiil bag sets. These include Battle Defender, Battlefield Acrobat, Indomitable Fury, Soldier of Anguish, Spell Strategist, and Steadfast Hero. So if you guys don't know what a template character is, when you go on PTS, in the upper right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, opposite of your like class selection, your race selection, that kind of thing, there will be a like rectangular thing that says no template, or if you click on it, it'll drop down and it'll say Elsweyr template. And this is where you see a lot of us in the YouTube videos will have like our characters, and we'll be showing off a build or something, we'll be doing something, and it'll have like all these little boxes in there that carry like different sets and all that stuff. That's how we get it, is we do it's through PTS, and it's a template character that gets all access to that. It sets that character to max level, max CP, and gives you all the gear sets you could possibly want access to. And this is how we make builds and test a lot of stuff, is this, we have access to pretty much the best stuff in the game. So, but yeah, really cool. Moving on, fixes and improvements. So figures, cinch mounts now display the appropriate visual gear upgrades. Saddle belts on the Cinch Rat mount no longer clip into the belly during running animations. And fixed an issue where horns would float on the head of the red dragon in the Dragon Hunt events. And on, yeah, I'm not even going to try to say it. Alfiq are now set up for the proper speaking animations. That's pretty cool. Visual effects, updated visual effects for the plague drenched fabrics and mummified Alfiq parts. Cool. Combatic gameplay. So the well, I'm not even going to go into this stuff because I don't know what I'll like. I know we can talk about everything but the main quest. So moving on. Necromancer Changes. Fixed an issue where consuming the corpse of a target dummy could cause your game to crash under certain circumstances. Glad you guys fixed that. I've had that happen a few times. Fixed an issue where some Necromancer abilities such as Blast Bones and Boneyard were not being increased by Ancient Knowledge's Lightning Staff bonus. Well, that's a good change. Reduced the health of a skeleton summoned from this ability in its morphs to 7,000 from 10,000. Okay, the skeleton will now only attempt to leap to its target after 1.5 seconds of chasing their target rather than immediately. Cool. Reusable parts. This passive has been redesigned so when your Blastbone, Skeletal Mage, or Spirit Mender dies, the cost of your next summon of one of these abilities is reduced by 12 and 25%. Whoa! That's a huge... Oh, man. That's really nice. I like that. Alright, moving on. Bone Tyrant. Bitter Harvest. Fixed an issue where this ability in its morphs would cause consumed corpses to linger longer than intended. I didn't notice, but okay. Bone Armor fixed an issue where this ability is worse, where they could spawn additional corpses and charge you additional resources for casting. Didn't know that. And then Death Gleaming. This passive now restores 100 to 200 magic and stamina when an enemy dies around you, up from 50 and 100 magic and stamina. Remove the cooldown from this ability. Awesome. Death Scythe. Now, they mentioned in the Friday's live stream that there was a major change coming to this. And I'm glad that they did this change specifically to this skill, because this is going to be some great utility for DPS, tanks, all kinds of stuff. So, first they fixed an issue where the morphs of this ability were healing less than the base version. They fixed an issue where the ability and the Hungry Scythe morph were incorrectly being calculated as melee damage rather than direct damage. Ruinous Scythe, this is the one that they changed. This morph has been redesigned so it no longer applies a healing absorption to its targets. So if you guys don't know what a healing absorption is, it looks like like somebody puts a small shield on you for 2,000, and then what happens is as you try to heal, it'll take you can't heal for that first 2,000. So that it's a very powerful skill, and it can do a lot of crazy stuff. Now, every third cast of this ability will set enemy targets hit off balance. So, every third cast of this, so when you use Ruinous Scythe, I think this is the stamina morph, it'll do disease damage, so you can do this 1, 2, and then on the third cast, boom, you get off balance. That's cool. That adds a unique dynamic to the Necromancer. Like, the Sorc has off balance through lightning, but the Necromancer now has off balance through this one stamina morph ability, which is why I said it's going to be really great for tanks and stamina DPS to have that ability to do that. The last gasp, which is a passive, reduce the max health bonus this passive grants to 625 and 1250 from 1,000 and 2,000. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna have to get on PTS and test some stuff. But if it's that, it's not really drastic, but it's still gonna be noticeable. Living Death, reanimate, increase the cost of this ultimate to 350 from 200. Note it retains the cost reduction scaling as it ranks up. And the final cost will be 335 at rank 7, or rank 4, sorry. I don't know where I got 7. Renewing animation will now cost 335 ultimate, and animate Blast Bones will now cost 335 ultimate, and reduce the rank to 320 at rank 4. Undead Confederate, now this is another passive. Reduce the stamina and magic recovery granted from this passive to 100 to 200 from 150 to 300. Again, don't know how I feel about that. I have to get in and test it and see how it affects the game, like how it affects your gameplay. If it doesn't affect it like too much of that resource management with the Necromancer, then it shouldn't be a problem. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem, because this one's going from 300 to 200, and then they have the one up here which is 200 up from 100 to 200. So, and this is from Death Cleaning. So this is going to make it easier for tanks to sustain a little bit better, and maybe even a DPS who wants to use that ability. Alright, Dragons. Dragons are now immune to Mangle, alright? You now need to stand closer to dragons to strike with light and heavy attacks. Okay. If I'm a DPS, how close, like stamina DPS or a tank, how close do I have to stand? Because if I have to stand in the red, in the stupid, I don't want to die. Like, so, I think it means, like, because when you attack from the sides, there's, like, certain areas where people were getting, like, able to get hits, but it would put them in an area that was kind of, like, they were immune to most damage, unless it was, like, the AoE fire spikes that come up out of the ground. Alright, Dragon combat abilities. The knockback applied by takeoff now goes through CC immunity, and takeoff now deals more... Whoa. Fixed an issue where ground fires created by strafing run, I thought it was a dragon, are now always visible, alright? Fixed an issue where the flame worms would fail to spawn in some locations. Chomp now deals more damage and has a visible block telegraph. Ooh, that's cool. Bite now hits your character more reliably. Earth Spike, that's the one, Earth Spike, now has a different cast animation, and fixed an issue where Earth Spike stopped ticking well before it exploded. Fixed an issue where Earth Spike significantly lowered game performance under certain conditions. I'm glad they're fixing that one. And fixed an issue where the attack telegraphs unexpectedly changed directions. Bursting Fireball is now more aggressive. Fixed an issue where tracking breath could hit your character outside the dragon's ability to track you. And fixed an issue where damage from the Iron Atronach ability, Blast Furnace, could apply more often than intended. So it sounds like they tweaked the dragon bosses just enough to give them a little bit more damage and to make them more aggressive, which will be really good because it definitely needed something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've heard it 1,000 times. People say, "Oh, I can solo this," and you see them trying to solo it, and they're just dying left and right. And it's because these things aren't a joke. People treat them like a joke. Yeah, but when you have like 10 or 15 people, they are a joke. But when you have like 4 or 5 or 6, they're not so much of a joke. They're actually challenging. And not just challenging as in harder to kill. They are actually challenging. And not super challenging. They're challenging. I'm just going to leave it at that. Alright. Cartel Duel prevented the achievement. Okay, I'm not going to read that one. Crafting and Economy. Updated the icons of Shimmering Sand, Aurora Dust, Goblin, Cloth Scraps, and Dragon Thread. Motive chapters for Cold Snap, Meridian, Aquinant, and Pelonite motives will now properly let you know where they're already in the your lore library. Okay. Updated the icons for Dragon's Blood and Dragon's Bile. Fixed an issue preventing dragons from being consumed to learn their first traits. Okay. I didn't notice this one. I have checked the potions and stuff. Like, I've been working on doing that stuff. Sunspire Trial, so lots of fixes in here. I don't want to give too much away, but Dragon Breath attacks will no longer appear to change targets after being cast, and the visuals of the effects will better match where the damage actually is. And also, guys, there will be a link in the description below so you can go read this for yourself. I'm going to go through the ones that I think are important. So, armor and weapons found in Sunspire will now properly claim to be from Sunspire rather than the moons. Okay. I would much rather it be from the moons, but hey. Yeah, this dragon, the achievement, Strike While the Iron is Hot, will now be completed only when the requirements are met. Okay. Increased his health in Veteran and Veteran Hard Mode difficulties, and will now face his targets while flying. So, this one I'm not, like, will now always land and reset. I don't see a point in reading that one. Yeah, this is the other dragon. So, will now project, will now project his voice so that his essential hints can be heard over the din of the battle. Okay. Adjusted the ice wall near to protect the players from getting stuck inside them. Fires cast of Storm Breath, so better sync up the cast. Slightly adjust the position of offering braziers, so they can both be detected and while standing in the same area as the dragon. So you will now be affected by Static, which has had its damage slightly reduced. Arcing Bolts, which affects other players, remains the same. Ooh, that's dangerous. And then the final dragon got a lot of changes. So first off, the Eternal Servant Shock Bolt will now end if a trapped character returns to the main fight when the servant dies. The following abilities will now play audio: Fiery Path, Firestorm, and Sweeping Breath. He can no longer be targeted during flight and when perched as intended. Toned down the brightness and adjusted weather effects to be more visible during... Yeah, well, I'm not worried about that one. Oh, increased the effects and duration of Time Echo. Adjusted the priority and timing of abilities by the Eternal Servant. Aspects of winter will be more frequent, and the servant will attempt to transfer to the dragon's location sooner. Time Breach will properly reset the portal closest to the player that activated it, and the damage over time caused by Mark of Death or for death can no longer be removed by Purge. So it just cannot be cleansed. Wow. Yeah, let's tone him up. He just got buffed. Just that ability just got I'm sorry, that's one heck of an ability to get hit by anyways. But getting it toned up, that's, yeah. Alright, exploration and itemization. Backpacks, pouches, sacks found in dragons' goods can no longer be traded with group mates. They're yours for you. Champions of can now appear correctly as a title. Jerboas now drop small game when killed. I'm going to ignore this, because if I'm hunting Jerboas, I'm not a monster, I'm hunting. I can't even say this one. Will now drop dragon appropriate loot, though their rewards are not as impressive as those dragons that patrol Elsweyr. Okay. Added recipes for Elsweyr, sarcophagus, ancient, and its requisites lid to some furnishing and pockets to pick in Elsweyr. Happy hunting. Updated the icon for Plaguedrain's fabric. So I'm just going to go down this way, blah, 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 and just basically do that. Skipping. And combat and gameplay changes, the main thing everybody wants to know. So, General made several changes to gap closer abilities. Some I am not happy with, but I will test, give my thoughts and opinions on it. But, you know, it happens. You gotta expect them to make some changes sometimes for that you don't like, or I don't like, or somebody else might not like, but it happens. So, remove the snare applied for all abilities to deal with character charges, leaps, teleports, or other movements. That's the one part I'm not too thrilled about that, because there was some abilities I love to use that had snares, like the shield charge from Sword and Board. I really liked it because it had a snare on it. And in some cases, like playing in a dungeon, charging an enemy, snaring them, low slashing them, putting that movement speed reduction on them was very critical in certain encounters. Because, you know, you can't snare everything, but in most dungeons you could. Like, you could snare most of the mobs that you fight, and in some encounters, if you snare a certain target, it doesn't allow them to get to your allies. And then you can throw out something like caltrops on the rest of the enemies, so they attract to you, kind of, but also have a slower movement speed getting to you and your allies. So I really... I don't know. Alright, removed all minimum ranges from these abilities. Okay, that I didn't hear in the Friday live stream, so now that it has no minimum range, charges and stuff might be pretty good, because you could actually put that into a rotation of some things. So, drastically increase the speed of all these abilities and increase their auxiliary effects, damage, debuffs, etc. Range to ensure they always apply to their target. Note, Dragon Leap and its morphs aren't exclusive to some of these changes. They will continue to fire a snare, which has new visual effects introduced with it. This is due to the fact it cannot be used in quick succession compared to other instant cast abilities. Dragon Leap has had its speed increased as well, but not as drastically to ensure the visual fidelity remains. Okay, so they increase the speed for these abilities to make up for the loss of the snare. And then they took away minimum range. So pretty much somebody can be running, I can just be spamming. Okay. Fixed many issues where slotted abilities that allowed corpse consumption would show the unique effect for corpse inconsistently. Right? Fixed multiple issues with passives that had to check for specific targets to apply their effects to. For example, Forceful and Trifocus will no longer hit the initial target and will instead deal their damage to nearby targets. Oh, okay. Buffs and debuffs. Fixed an issue where the poison status effect, where it was using the incorrect missing of stats to derive its damage. Now, like other status effects, it will use the caster's highest weapon or spell damage, max stam, or magicka, or weapon and spell critical chance. That's interesting. Dragon Knight. Draconic powers, protective skills. Dragon Fire skills. Fixed an issue where this ability could not critically strike and was not being properly treated as a spell projectile. Note that 2 or more Dragonites cannot come together to create a free energy system by self-perpetuating the damage return between them with only this ability. Okay. Obsidian Shield. Igneous Shield morph. Fixed an issue where this ability was not increasing in size for the caster. That's a good change. Nightblade, Assassination, Grim Focus. This ability and its morphs will now reduce your damage taken by 3% for each light and heavy attack you use, up to 5 times. Note that this bonus will persist if the Grim Focus buff fades from you, as it is tethered to the amount of stacks you had while the buff was active. This effect will be consumed when you use your stacks by firing the Spectral Bow, or when you leave combat. Alright, interesting. Mark Target. Remove the cost from this ability and its morphs. This was done to make it more comparable to abilities such as weakness to elements that only apply a debuff to their target. Yes, please. I'm sorry, but that's awesome. I've always loved Mark Target, especially when I played a Nightblade tank. I always thought it was just a really cool ability to have, to be able to just mark a target. Now it's not going to cost me anything. I can mark targets and then use my taunt. So I'm not, like, I can use a taunt, like a ranged taunt on them, instead of having to use the other thing. So that's really cool. I like this, and it might really work for some bow tank builds, or even two-handed builds, or dual-wield builds that play tanks, Nightblade tanks. It'll really help them have a tool to do Major Breach, Major Fracture, without having to equip Sword and Board. Siphoning, Drain Power. Fix an issue where this ability and its morphs could unintentionally be dodged. Okay. Storm Sorcerer. Storm Calling. Summon Storm Atronach. Fix an issue where this ability and its morphs would not stun and deal damage to targets in the area where you cast the ability. Didn't know that. My favorite change. Templar. Restoring Light. Restoring Aura. Remove the cost from this ability and Radiant Aura morph and increase the duration to 20 seconds at max rank. This was done to put it in the same category of other abilities such as weakness to elements. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have no idea what this does for me. Like, finally. Alright, moving on. Dual Wield. Whirlwind. Whirling Blades. Reduce the execute threshold from this ability to 50% from 100% in order to reduce in instances where it was outperforming single target spammable attacks. Okay. Bow. Rapid Fire. Ballista. Fixed an issue where the damage from this ability could cause health desyncs to occur under certain circumstances. Okay. Alright, moving on. Itemization. Item sets. Burning Spellweave. Corrected the grammatical error in this item set's description. I didn't even know it had a grammatical error because I haven't used it in a while. But let's move on. Essence Thief. Fixed an issue where the essence pool would vanish if the caster was stunned, feared, knocked back, silenced, disoriented, charging, staggering, or falling while it was still moving to its target location. The only time the pool should fail to materialize now is when your character dies or begins to swim. You're already in a pool. You don't need another. Well, exactly. Duh. Vestari's Tutelage. This item set no longer reduces the cost of ultimate abilities. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Vesture of Durlock's Bray. This item set no longer grants healing of resources while using block when crouching. Alright. Base game changes. Alliance, War, and PvP. The book, Those Who Stood at Charlemagne Keep, is now available for Daggerfall and Aldemary players in their respective Cyrodiil home keeps. Weapon artifacts. The damage, healing, and shield provided and or caused from wielding Volendrung will now bypass Battle Spirit, as the Daedra and their weaponry are not bound by Mortal Coil. Let's move on, because I don't know what to say to that. Like, What? Have you lost your mind? Like, seriously, that makes that weapon super powerful. That's like better, almost better than being, you know, king. Adjusted the doors at Bruma and Kropsford to not allow players with Volendrung to enter them. Alright. Elder Scrolls and Volendrung can now be interacted with while in combat. Cool. Art and animation, general staff, housing, miscellaneous, UI, alliance or crafting, gamepad mode. Fixed an issue with the housing editor where buttons could fail to work after a controller disconnect, reconnect while browsing furniture. Okay, that's good for some the controller people. Guild Finder, they fixed some issues with it. Help in tutorials. Maps. Dragon map pins are no longer visible from Reaper's March. Quest. Fixed an issue where you couldn't accept the shared quest when in a hiding spot. And that is it for the PTS patch notes, guys. Lots of interesting changes. I will admit there are some that I really want to look at first before I give my opinion, truly. But so far, I like all the changes that are happening with this so far. Even the prior ones to this, I'm really excited for a lot of the changes, and I really want to get in and test and see how things are going and see how things are performing. I do want to do something real quick while I have you guys here, because the PTS was not up when I started this, and it is still not up at so 1:06 Pacific time. So that's 4 hours difference from the East Coast. So it's actually 5:06 there, and the PTS is still not up. Wow. Actually, it's 4:06 there. 4:06 there. It's 3 hours. I get confused with daylight savings because where I live in Arizona, we don't have daylight savings or whatever, any of that stuff. Like, our clocks don't change ever. We have our own time zone, I guess. I don't know. But we switch time zones. So we switch between Pacific and Mountain. So it's really hard to determine what season, like based on the season, like what time it is where in the world, because I get confused. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this patch notes video, guys. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, you know what's coming next. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. And this guy might see you in game. Bye.